how is it good for humans to have sex with robots?
A few
How is that
different
not
ways.
bad?
So first of all, people are lonely, and people sometimes will have meaningless hookups, and then they'll feel bad about it afterwards. And maybe they wouldn't feel as bad if they had the companionship of a robot. Other things are that people can explore things with a robot that they may not feel comfortable exploring with a human partner. And other aspects could be that so maybe someone has the desire to sleep with someone outside of their monogamous relationship, and it's not as bad to sleep with a robot as it would be to sleep with, a random person. Maybe it's a way for people to explore threesomes, or group sex in a way that feels more safe for a couple. It's a way for people who are a little bit less social or have social issues like anxiety or trauma to explore healing in those capacities. So it's a really big list of potentials.
Yeah. So it's like, it just kind of seems like robots, kind of the way you're describing it, or the sexual relationships with robots is just a heightened form of pornography.
It's a
because that's what supposedly, I mean, that's everything that you just said is kind of outside of the physical aspect of it, is the same arguments you could make for pornography, right?
Yes, and the reason why I got into sex technology in the beginning is because I realized how potent it was.
Yeah.
Because we're pairing sexual stimuli with whatever's happening, if it's pornography, whatever's happening on screen. If you have a sex robot, you're actually having a relationship with someone. I've had a lot of relationships in my life where my opinion was changed through that relationship, or their opinion was changed because we had that sexual intimacy and that aspect of understanding where we opened each other's minds up to other possibilities. And I don't just mean sexually, I mean, in life. So the idea of sexual power and the idea of sexual attention and intimacy is very potent. And when we're using robotics and AI and chatbots and digital personas to become intimate with, it's really important how they're programmed. So I worked with Real Doll on their Harmony project and helped create the personality for Harmony and write the content for her. And when I came on board, I was worried because I was pushing this idea like this needs to be consent focused, this needs to be feminist. And I found that for the most part, their product already was. And so I was able to add some higher level content to that product. And that's the one that I want to use in Eve's Robot Dreams primarily because it's a really good product.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of that I agree with, or it's just like such a weird thing for me because it seems like you could also definitely make the case that people having sex with robots could just be absolutely horrible and detrimental to society.
You could say the same about pornography.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say is that, pornography, I think it seems like there are studies going on and it seems like there's direct correlations, but pornography is a big part of like the depression and anxiety and men committing suicide at an extremely high rate because you isolate yourself, right? And you don't actually go out to try to make connections with real people. You kind of isolate yourself because you're allowing the release that can be a driver for going out and meeting and, being social. You're meeting that release isolated, and people are isolating themselves without that drive, and that leads to depression because you need real connection. And then it leads to, anxiety, depression, and suicide.
I could see that being partially true. I also think there's an aspect of pornography which is very disconnected from female pleasure and disconnected from true harmony.
Well, it's like, 99% men watching porn?
No.
I mean, it's high. It's easily primarily men.
Okay, you're saying like most men do watch porn.
Well, I'm saying if you were to look up the statistics and say how many men versus how many women watch porn, it's, yeah. Like visual porn, we could look it up. It's
I
definitely,
could just ask all of my friends and they all...
Well, your friends they don't matter. You have to look at the actual statistics.
Okay, I think that any study that says that 1% of women watch porn...
I exaggerated. I exaggerated.
It's just insane.
It's not...
Women watch porn, and what I'm trying to say anyways is that men, whether or not they acknowledge this, feel the lack of female pleasure in this pornography.
Yeah.
The idea that you could just go in and have sex and get your pleasure from somebody is only half of sex.
Yeah.
It's not a complete union. That's not the complete sexual process.
Yeah.
And so
I just want to say
there's a lack.
I want to clarify. I was exaggerating when I said 99. It isn't that, but it is predominantly men. The percentage is way higher, men versus women that watch porn.
I would say maybe 60-40.
I think it's much more. I'll look it up here. Maybe I'll just look it up and see. But
I can't fathom that. I don't think.
Well, the studies show, I'm pretty sure that men, it's like an insanely high percentage of men that watch visual porn, right? But the percentage of books and literature and that kind of thing is way high with women.
Yeah.
That's something that I've read, that women like reading porn, whatever the old school books are that talk about sex and everything, that mostly that's women. And then for the visual videos, it's predominantly men.
New books are being written every day.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like the classic romance novels that talk about,
right,
that are like super sexual. How many men versus women watch porn? Curious to know. I haven't actually looked it up, but this survey. So this survey is just fightthenewdrug.org. I don't have no idea if it's credible. It's the first one that popped up, but it says 72% men, 28% women.
Okay.
Who watches porn. And the only reason I brought that up, right, is because like porn, if you just watch the most videos, like if you go to Pornhub and look at the first page, most of it is easily marketed and aimed toward men. Like it's a men
But
audience.
that doesn't mean women aren't watching porn.
Oh yeah, of course women watch porn.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
So it's difficult as a woman watching porn because you don't find anything that's actually arousing. So this is a cyclical problem, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, first of all, and I think that men have the same repulsion to a smaller degree, and then they maybe internalize it. All I'm trying to argue is that porn is not healthfully created. It's not created in a loving or mutual
that's why I think that's partly
way.
why I think it's so bad. It's because it's completely disconnected from reality. Completely.
Right. And I think that's toxic.
Yeah, of
and
course.
so pornography, I do think can be very
But it's the same
powerful.
argument for robots. It'd be the same thing.
Well, that's why I'm in support of Harmony as a robot, because she's actually very loving and very focused on union rather than degrade me, daddy, or something.
Yeah, well, but don't you think it would probably end up the same? That if most men watch porn, most videos are really fucking shitty and degrading, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a good thing. And don't you think that it would end up reflecting the same thing with the robots?
I think there's an aspect of people that want to explore that degradation. And then I think that once you explore it for long enough, you actually crave something healthier. And that's not to kink shame anyone, but I do believe that
I think it's worth talking about.
What the soul craves and what true sensuality and sexuality is, once you get through all of the trauma and taboo nature of things that we've been exposed to, and you allow yourself to explore that, I think that you find yourself in a place where you want something more powerful, something more connected, and something
that's why I think
more union-based.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with that 100%. I think, in my opinion, I think that's why porn isn't good and robots wouldn't be good either, is because I think it more of the time would hinder people from really going out and making that connection.
Right. And so my interest in sex robots is actually shaping human behavior and helping people actually move from the place of degradation into a place of more union and harmony. And so I believe that the idea of using a sex robot personality who can have conversations with somebody.
It's like practicing.
Yeah, I mean, like
life.
if you let's say you had a partner, a sexual partner, and you're like a real person who was really into this stuff, like you could definitely help them if it was something that they experienced, through trauma or whatever, and they wanted to like shift it, you could help them heal it and move towards a different thing through patience and through practice and through different sexual exploration, right? You as a person could do that.
Yeah.
So I believe we have the potential with robots to do that without any, emotional labor exhaustion or, I just think that robots are this amazing resource. Yeah. And I think that we have to be careful with how they're programmed.
Yeah, I got to say, I really respect that. That's a really optimistic way to look at it with robots. I mean, that's a good way, optimistic to look at it. But I guess I totally think that could be cool if you could really make that very clear and really get the message out like you are, that should be the reason. The reason shouldn't be so you could fucking lock yourself up in your room and isolate yourself and have a more realistic looking woman to just be like shitty to, you know.
That's why Eve exists. That's why Eve exists as a segment of Unicult, and it's about creating a more diverse group of people creating this technology. It's about creating more diverse voices in emergent technology, not just robotics, but AI and virtual reality and augmented reality. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of augmented reality right now with Instagram filters. There's a lot of female creators and non-binary creators and male creators. I mean, there's every type of person creating these filters for augmented reality, and that's shaping beauty standards.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, because if you have an all male or all anything team, your idea of what people want to look like or what people want their faces to augment as is going to be very restricted and very limited. But when we get diverse voices into these spaces, we start to open up what's possible and what's potential.
Yeah.
There's one person I really like on Instagram. Her name's like Ines something, but she creates virtual makeup. But it's nothing like you've ever seen before. It's like it makes your face like into like this like crazy like fish.
That's cool. It's like
thing.
Art. She's just doing art on her
but I love
face.
that she's calling it makeup.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just a diverse. It's an expansion.
Yeah, for sure. That's better than what we could be going through right now.
Sure, but
because we could all just be murdering and killing each other like apes, because we are apes, right?
But wouldn't you like to go beyond that?
Oh yeah, of course. I think we are. I think it's a slow evolution. I think it's happening.
Well, it can't happen if you don't believe it's going to happen.
Well, I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen through artificial intelligence.
How so?
I think we're probably going to end up being able to mimic or create consciousness and then integrate ourselves into a higher level of consciousness and get rid of the physical. It won't even be necessary.
How will that work?
How?
How will we integrate ourselves into a higher state of consciousness through AI?
Probably starting with Elon Musk's Neuralink, where it connects connects your brain directly to the internet.
So you think that access of information will be enlightening?
I think it could be, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
Yeah. I think we're possibly aiming toward a much better society. I just don't like when people talk so negatively about it, because I think it's the best we're trying our best. All humans, we're just doing the best we can do.
Yeah, we are, but they're
because I think it's kind of privileged to not acknowledge how lucky you are, you know?
Sure, but there are solutions to problems. And I think it's okay to talk about them.
Yeah, of course. But I don't think the solutions are as easy as some people like to make it sound.
And I think all we need is belief and collaborative effort.
What do you mean by belief? Like law of attraction stuff?
No, I mean, if you wake up and you think, oh, I'll never get a job. Let's say you need to get a job. And you wake up and you say, I'll never get a job. And you just stay in bed and you don't apply to any jobs because you believe you're never going to get a job. You'll never get a job.
Yeah.
But if you say, oh, I'm going to get a job, and you're like, which job am I going to get? I'm going to go apply. So that's a small example, but that's how we have to approach our future. Because if we just say, oh, all this dystopian stuff, or oh, it's just this slow progression, and we don't really focus our energy on what that means, we're not going to get out of bed. We're not going to change anything. It's just going to keep on going the way it is. And complacency is dangerous.
No. I mean, I completely agree with you there. That's an amazing. I mean, I think people have to really believe, but even more than that, they have to take action to actually start to try to change things.